Welcome to A State of Mind. I'm Paul John Dykes, and today I'm joined by Jim Simonetti, where we will be chatting with Mark Taylor. Mark, welcome to the show.
Hi there, guys. How you doing?
It's an absolute pleasure to have you in here. We're going to be talking about your own journey in the world of martial arts and how judo has helped shape you and many others who you've been able to coach. And we had a wee chat with you. You're based in the same area here in Dalkeith, so it's the next part of your journey. So let's go right back to your early life.
Yep.
Talk to us about your introduction to judo.
My introduction to judo was I'm from the local area, originally from Gorebridge. I tried a number of sports and different activities, scouts, boys brigade, done a little bit of football, and eventually found judo. And I started at 8 years old, enjoyed it. Enjoyed the physical aspect of it, the social aspect of it. Made a lot of friends in judo. Judo was quite popular in the area when I started. Continued my judo for a number of years. I tried a little bit of competition. Moved down to England with my family. Originally my judo club was Yoshin Judo, and kind of changed to a club called Hikokwai Judo. So it was a local man called Jimmy Purvis that was my first coach, and then a guy called Jed Wynn. And then when we moved away down to England, I took part, found a judo club in Ripon in Yorkshire.
Excellent.
And my judo coach down there was a woman, I'll never forget her name. Her name was Rachel Bailey. Red hair. She had been to Japan. So the way she taught judo was different to the way that other people were teaching judo. She was very, very much about the way of judo and how it influences you as a person. She wasn't fussed about you being a world champion. She just wanted you to have a positive influence in your life. So done judo down in Yorkshire for a while. Then my family moved back up here. Went back to judo again. Because that was my chosen sport at that point. I was moved from primary into high school. Everybody else was, doing maybe other sports or doing things that they shouldn't be doing. So judo was my focus. Went back to my old judo club, started competing again. Done fairly well, at junior level and up into youth level. I travelled about a bit, going visiting other judo clubs, being influenced by other judo players, other judo coaches. One in particular being John Barrington, a local man who ran Last Way Judo Club. Used to enjoy going to that club. It was a lot of fun. There was a lot of fun, a lot of social aspect to Last Way Judo Club. And that's where I started getting more into competing. I met a good friend of mine at the time, Graham Randall, who went on to become Scotland's only ever world judo champion.
Fantastic.
Local lad from S Bank. So we started training together, and I actually gave up judo for a couple of weeks at that point. I just because I wasn't enjoying it so much. I wasn't getting maybe some of the results that I was wanting. So I ended up going with Graham to a coach that he had found, a guy called Harry McIntyre. And Harry was quite influential in my competitive career. Real good focus on what you needed as an individual, in terms of your physical and your psychological state of mind when you're competing. He was a great influence. I had a lot of my big successes under Harry McIntyre. Namely my best achievement was a Commonwealth bronze medal at the age of 17. That was probably my most memorable result. So from there, I continued on. So me and Graham's aspirations were always, go to the Olympics, become world champion. Graham obviously done brilliant, went on and achieved that. I kind of focused a wee bit more on going to college, went and got a qualification in sports development, but ended up going abroad, went away to Hong Kong to teach judo and to train, and to, hopefully progress my competitive career at some point. But unfortunately, I got a bad cruciate ligament injury, and albeit nowadays, it's a quick operation, it's great recovery. Back then, it wasn't such a quick recovery, so it kind of put paid to my competitive career. But I was still coaching, so came back from Hong Kong, continued to do a bit of coaching, but then my career kind of came in and ended up taking on a career in residential childcare, which spanned 20 years.
Fantastic.
So it kind of took me away from the judo world and, you know, competing and coaching, because, you know, working shift work and, you know, that kind of line of work's quite demanding on you, demanding on your time. So kind of life got in the way a little bit of judo. It wasn't a priority anymore. Albeit that I still taught some judo to some of the kids that I worked with. The reason being behind that wasn't for my benefit, it was for their benefit. They got a lot out of it. So I think I was the first person to teach kids that were in secure accommodation. We ran judo classes, and the kind of physical benefits were there, the psychological benefits, you know, the social benefits, the emotional benefits that judo had was really, really positive. Ended up at one point working in a kids' residential school. It was a boys only school. We done judo in the school. You can imagine what a boys' school can be like. You know, there's a lot of the staff were a bit reluctant for us to be doing a contact sport. You know, don't teach them judo. What if they use judo on each other and us? But the discipline that it gave them, the sense of belonging and ownership, you know, that the judo gave them was fantastic. And we were teaching judo not for these boys to get grades, not for them to, you know, wear a coloured belt, not for them to go and win medals. It was purely for the, you know, the well-being aspect of it. So that was me up until 2016. Went through a few kind of personal challenges in my life. I won't go into that too much. I was working in Glasgow as a children's unit manager. Loved the job, but again, it was very demanding. So kind of got to that point where I want to make a few life changes. So done that and went back to judo. A good friend of mine, Alan Marshall, encouraged me actually to go back to judo for my own physical well-being, my own mental well-being. So I done that, went back to judo. It was quite a challenge physically. I had been quite fit at the time, you know, I could run half marathons and do trail running and all that, but the fitness you need for, you know, doing judo is a little bit different, a lot of anaerobic fitness that you need. But went back and, you know, realised how much I missed judo for my own personal well-being. So got encouraged to go and take part in a couple of competitions. I went to the British Masters, which was in Edinburgh. I thought, it's on my doorstep, why not go and give it a go? If you lose, you lose. If you win, you win. And I went along, won a gold medal. So realised that, you know, judo's not just for the young. A lot of people get to a certain age in judo and they retire from competitive judo. But you have Masters Judo, which is for over 30s. Not as popular in this country as it is abroad. In France, Germany, Italy, America, Japan, Masters Judo is really, really well promoted and well supported. So I ended up travelling abroad, going to World Championships in Florida, went to France to the Eurometropole Masters, won a silver medal there, went to the Germany Masters, won a gold medal there. I've represented Britain and Scotland abroad. One of my biggest memories though is probably, gives a good example of what Masters Judo is all about. I went to the Europeans in Croatia. So the Saturday was the individuals, and I got 2 contests and got beaten both of them. So no medals, no result that day. But they have a team championships on the Sunday. And because there's not a lot of people travel from Scotland or Britain to the tournaments abroad, there wasn't enough of us to put a team together at our age groups. But I got invited to fight for the German team, because you're allowed to have one other national in your team. So I agreed to this and looked forward to it. I thought it would be a bit of fun. And we ended up in the final against the Russian team. So I won a European silver medal for Great Britain and Scotland with the German Masters team. But it was great. It was fantastic being part of that, you know, and it just encapsulates what the whole judo and Masters Judo is all about.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's enough about me and my judo stuff. That then led me to, and my partner Pam, to look at, you know, we both done judo in the area when we were younger. there was a right lack of judo clubs in the area, so we decided, let's start up a little judo club and see what we can do for judo in Midlothian. So that led to the formation of Randori Judo, and it's grown arms and legs from there. I ended up, giving up my full-time employment, focusing in on judo, and prior to the coronavirus pandemic and lockdown, over the last 2 years, we've built up to 5 local community judo clubs. Me doing it full-time, just over 200 members, providing weekly judo activities, events, judo camps, doing judo projects as well with kids with additional support needs. Done a little bit of judo with adults who maybe had drug and alcohol issues, maybe out of employment, just finding themselves in a situation. So that's really positive. So judo's kind of spans kind of all age groups. And that's what brings us to Randori Dojo. We always wanted to have our own space, to kind of be based from, to have a focus so that, the community judo club, so like a community hub dojo. A dojo's where we practice judo. But that was a longer term project that we wanted to do, probably a 3 to 5 year project. So through lockdown, we had to look, what's our situation? Where are we at? We don't want to not exist after this. So we came up with a resilience strategy. Part of that resilience strategy was how do we support our members, our families and communities throughout lockdown. So we done that by doing some online content. We didn't focus in on teaching them judo in Zoom classes, because that's not what they're used to. That's not what the kids like. They like to come to judo and physically roll about and see us and have the social aspect. So we've done a lot of stuff like little quizzes, TikTok Tuesdays. We teamed up with a local company called Cheer Supreme, and every Friday we sent out a little sweet treat to each of the families. So all of our 200 families got a little sweet treat box on a Friday. So it was about keeping connected, keeping them engaged, communicating with them, supporting them. We sent out a lot of pamper packs to some of our parents who are key workers, so people who have been on the front line in the NHS, they've got a couple of days off. We sent a little pamper pack, just little touches just to help support them.
Which is great.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, put yourself in their shoes, the front line. It's nice just to, even for somebody just to kind of have that wee bit of acknowledgement, that personal thing. So as well as doing all that kind of support and engagement throughout lockdown, part of our resilience strategy was looking at what do we do for the future. So we got a little bit of, we're a social enterprise, so we got kicked off with some social enterprise funding and advice and support through the Scottish Entrepreneurs Fund through First Port in Edinburgh, and one of their organisations called Just Enterprise. So we got put in touch with them and got a bit of support through Midlothian Voluntary Action as well, and from Midlothian Council to look at our resilience strategy and how we can survive, how we can adapt and potentially thrive. And it was quite clear that we needed our own space, and not just a space for us, but a space for the community, and potentially for other organisations that might find themselves in a similar situation. So our activity, our sport is done inside. It's done in a hall. It's done on a mat. It's done in an enclosed space. So a lot of these spaces that we used previously are either adapted to change what they do and how they survive, so they're not available, or they're not suitable in terms of new guidance and regulations in terms of space and ventilation. So getting our own space was really, really important. So that's what led us to being the neighbours to you guys at Harding Green Business Park in S Bank. We took the possession of keys 8 weeks ago at the Randori Dojo. Previously it was an industrial unit. I think it was the manufactured glass. But
That'd be correct, yeah.
Yeah, but now it's a dojo, and on Monday we will be opening our doors to transition our members, our kids, our families back to judo activities over the coming weeks.
And a very well fitted out dojo is as well, after seeing it at first hand. So what you've done over there is excellent, and the way that you're portraying your club across to us today as well is fantastic. The way that you've spoken about yourself and what you've achieved within the sport has been fantastic as well, Mark. Being a lover of martial arts, I think it's fantastic, the amount of people that you've actually got involved, and hopefully that grows as well. And you've adapted to the current situation as well, with the coronavirus. You've created over there a place which will be welcoming for all, and maybe people who can't get into a place at the moment due to the current situation. The way that you've set that up and the way that you're going to have it ready is going to be a benefit for people's to come along and to be part of something, a togetherness, which we call it, and also for people's well-being, which is very, very important, which we'll come on to a wee bit more as well. And I think, Paul, what they've achieved, the team, Mark's himself leading the team across the road, and what they're about to embark on is going to be something that's going to be absolutely fantastic.
It'd be great for us to see the progress, just being across the way and seeing how that continues to improve. Some of the things you were saying there, Mark, when you go back to introducing judo into an environment where, you were in an all-boys residential school, and, some of these kids, they have maybe had hard times themselves, maybe through their own parentage, or they're out of control and they're in residential care. What impact did that have on the children that you were able to teach the art to?
Well, various levels of impact. I mean, I suppose it's a good idea to give a wee example. I always like to give a wee example. Yeah. So I had a boy that was in the residential school that was, had been through a lot of rejection, from his family, from his community, being a little bit off the rails, and was really struggling. And he came to us and wouldn't do anything, wouldn't attend education, wouldn't get involved in activities. But he had a little, had an interest in like mixed martial arts. He would watch it. He'd watch the UFC and on YouTube, because that's all he done was sat on the computer watching all the stuff. So I encouraged him to come along to the judo, and that had quite an impact on his attitude, his state of mind, his emotional well-being. He took a real sense of belonging about being involved in this judo project, and putting his judo kit on, getting onto the mat, learning new skills, rolling about, having fun. But the discipline side of it that he got out of it then transitioned into his own everyday life. So he ended up re-engaging in education. Yeah. He's went on to have a positive life. He now has a job and has a house. And it's not just the judo that done that. It's all the other people around about him. But that definitely had a massive impact. He didn't go on and do any grade-ins in judo. He didn't go on and compete in judo. He never had a medal. He's not a judo coach, not a judo instructor, but it had a positive influence in his life. And if we can have a positive influence, at that simple level, then that's fantastic. We've achieved something. If somebody goes on to be a judo coach or run their own club or become European champion or Scottish champion, then that's fantastic as well. But they're both achievements in their own right.
When I listen to Jim, who has an interest in martial arts, various martial arts, and in particular Bruce Lee, Jim, I think it's safe to say, we spoke to Tommy Carruthers. I'm interested in the kind of psychological aspect and the mentality, the state of mind, and how it can change people's perception of even just small things like discipline in day-to-day life, and the difference it can make. Is this something, do you think, Mark, that we'll ever see a day in Scotland where it's part of the curriculum, where we can actually introduce it at a young age and see, you might teach it out to, let's say, 40 kids, and it might only stick with 2 or 3 of them, but you're giving them the opportunity.
Yeah, I would love to see not just judo, but some the martial arts being brought into the curriculum at some some age and stage of the educational curriculum. I think a good example would be, how it's been achieved abroad. I mean, a lot of people don't realise that, I think judo is the second most participated sport in the world. I think there's more people do judo in France than any other sport. But France kind of introduced a project back in the 1970s, 1980s, where they brought judo into the curriculum, brought judo into schools, and they put a lot of a kind of onus on judo in the community, and it had, that's had a positive influence in France. And judo's now in France, they've got some great results in terms of competitors, but their focus wasn't about results, wasn't about going to the Olympics. But now France, I think, is one of the strongest countries in judo in the world at the moment. But bringing judo is taught in schools through active schools, and it's great. Active schools programs are fantastic. But that depends, it depends where do you go to school? What area are you from? Is there judo coaches available? I'm in a great position because it's my full-time job. I can do active school stuff. I can take judo into schools in Midlothian, and do at reduced costs and get people exposed to judo and interested in judo and make them aware of it. But not all judo instructors can do that full time. So it's how do you manage to do that? Is a big challenge to spread, to take it out throughout other regions throughout Scotland. It's difficult.
If you go back to one of the comments you made there, Mark, that when you were involved in the residential schools with the kids there, and you're not going to teach them judo, they might use it against us. See, automatically they've got that in their mind that it's about fighting. Mm-hmm. It's not about fighting. No. It's got so many elements to it. Martial arts has got so many elements. It's got the philosophy. It's got the thinking. It's got the meditation. It's got the medicine as well from within it that teaches you and how to become a better person. It teaches you discipline. It teaches you to respect. It teaches you actually it's better not to fight.
Yes, exactly.
The art of fighting without fighting.
Yeah.
So, but people have got this in their mind still. As soon as you mention, it's all about fighting. It's not. But I think that's a cracking thing what Paul has said regarding it being a curriculum in schools, some form of martial arts. Because I've had the pleasure and the privilege also to go to Hong Kong in a few occasions, and when you see the kids there at school and they're studying, it's fantastic. It's fantastic. There was a part as well in football, if you could tell the listeners and the viewers as well about the football club who has actually got judo involved within their club.
Yeah, so a lot of people, there's a lot of links between judo and other sports, but definitely within football. So if you go to France and you go to PSG, Paris Saint-Germain, they have a judo team, a professional judo team. So they have a lot of the football teams in France have judo clubs, have judo teams. It's part of what they're about and getting involved with the community and stuff. Eden Hazard, Chelsea player, he's a judo player, gets fouled every 30 minutes, I think, of his professional career. And there was an interview with him a while back where he put down his lack of injuries due to doing judo. So judo's had an influence and a benefit in his professional football career. When we first started the judo clubs, I had some links with one of our local youth teams, Anderson Rangers, and we done a little project. It was an 8-week project with one of their age groups. So we got them involved in judo activities. We took some sort of tests at the start in terms of their fitness, their flexibility, their core strength, their speed, their power and stuff. And we've done an 8-week project, and at the end of it, there was massive improvements in their physical well-being, But the thing that really stood out for me and the coach of that team was the way that they started to play together as a team, because they were, doing something that wasn't just about the football. It was about them coming together as a team.
Yeah.
They enjoyed that. We played judo. They weren't fighting. So when they came along the first week, they thought, we're going to be fighting with each other because we're doing this martial arts, and they weren't. So that's one of the things that we focus on. We don't promote fighting. We promote playing judo, and I think play is an important aspect of not just judo but of all sports.
Which is refreshing. Which is refreshing to hear. But one of your warm up exercises within judo is kicking a ball.
Kicking a ball, yeah. I mean, I think from an early age being involved in judo, one of the activities that we do to warm up, or even at the end of a
session,
we get a ball out and we pop up a couple of crash mats and we play football. You're in your bare feet, you're on mats. It kind of changes your the way that you maybe play football, because you're not going to be landing on a blazed pitch. You're not going to be landing on grass or astro. You're landing on a nice soft mat, and you learn to roll about in judo. So you can put quite a lot of commitment into a shot or a save. So there's a lot of benefits.
There is
for judo from football and the other way about.
That's one of the biggest things, Jim, that I took from Tommy Carruthers when we interviewed Tommy, is no interest in football, but he could see the philosophies that he learns and teaches benefiting footballers.
Yes.
I think the biggest problem would be there would maybe be a reluctance for change within Scottish football, for example, if you were to try and introduce that into a training regime.
Yeah. I mean, judo currently is quite popular with rugby. We've got a lot of kids that come to our judo clubs who are involved in some of the local rugby teams, and it goes hand in hand. The benefits for them: their close contact, their balance, their coordination, their discipline, all that sort of side of stuff. I think it would benefit football in general. But how do you promote that link? Because I think not just football, but a lot of sports have a focus on performance, results, at quite an early age, and which is great. It's great to achieve things. I had a lot of achievements, but it's a lot of pressure when you're quite young, and to be really, really good at a sport and to be at the top of your game, you have to practice it quite a lot, and a lot of the focus sometimes is you got to go to training 3-4 times a week, and then play your game on a Sunday or go to your judo tournament on a Sunday, and it's quite a lot of focus on one sport. And going back to Eden Hazard, he's a multi-sports athlete. Football's his thing, and that's what he's good at, and that's what he's chosen as a professional career. But he's a multi-sport athlete, and I think that some of the best athletes in the world are multi-sports athletes. A lot of the Scandinavian countries get that right. At an early age, they do multi-sports. So they're not just focused on football, they're not just focused on rugby, they're not just focused on gymnastics. They do a range of sports. And when they get to that age where it's time for them to pick or choose, or they want to, it'll benefit them in the longer run.
So they take a mixture of everything.
Yep.
Which Bruce Lee done.
Yes.
He took, and you're smiling there when I say that, he took a mixture of everything and made it his own. He took what was useful and he disregarded the rest. And that's what we try to teach as well, that he with the kids at youth football. If go and get involved in gymnastics, I actually say, go and get involved in dancing.
Yes.
Go and dance. Go and learn how to move. Get the body being able to move. Get that whole box section working as well. Kids at football, if they get pulled down, do they know how to get into a forward roll? The answer's no. The answer's no. But if they did know how to get into a forward roll and they're going down, they could get up quicker and get on with the game as well, rather than just go down. That's just a wee bit coming for me. But the overall a variety of sports they should participate in.
Yep.
They all should participate, and then say, that's what I would like to go down, but I can take that for there and that for there. Even table tennis. If you look at the top world champions at table tennis, they may play in a tight room, So they're learning close in. So then going back, but it's all feet work. But the most important thing that I've found, Mark, is attitude.
Yep.
Attitude helps develop them as young people to progress into to young adults, into adulthood. Is attitude, and that comes into their sport, comes into their life, and where it actually helps take them in life.
Yeah.
You know, when you were talking about other sports, were you not telling me, Jim, that Bruce Lee was a fencer?
Yes, Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee took. He actually took the arts. He took fencing, boxing, judo, and took it. And developed into his own style. But fencing was an art where he would go and work at. And dancing, he was a cha-cha champion of Hong Kong. And he grew up in a place called Natham Road in Hong Kong. So he enjoyed all those various sports, but it was all footwork, feet work, which judo has got a big part of as well, obviously, like all the arts has got. But fencing, a very important sport, a great sport as well.
You know, when we're looking at the situation we're currently in, Mark, even before that, we were in an epidemic of mental health issues in this country and beyond. The pandemic's only kind of lent to add a lot more pressures onto people. Anxieties, fear of the future, fear of the present. How do you think judo could assist someone like me, let's say 42 years old in December? How could someone like me at this age still benefit, on a mental level from coming along and getting involved?
Well, as you say, judo, it's a sport, it's a performance sport, it's an Olympic sport. I think a lot of people have a fear, of coming along to judo when you're a bit older. We've had a lot of people come and join our judo class in their 40s, 50s. There's that fear of, I'm going to get hurt, I'm going to get an injury, I can't go to work, I'm going to get thrown about the place, oh my God, there's black belts there. It's never too late to do any sport, but particularly judo can really benefit anybody. But in particular, as regards to the mental well-being and what could you get out of coming to my judo class? You'll get you'll be welcomed. You'll be learning something. It stimulates your mind. You're learning something new. You get a sense of belonging, a sense of achievement. All of these things, so as well as the physical benefits, if we look after ourselves physically, it helps look after our mind. I think one of the Scottish Government's targets for mental health is sport for change, and that's particularly targeting physical health, but mental health as well. It has a lot of positive aspects of well-being. Psychologically, socially, emotionally, that can benefit people's mental health. And I think as well, judo particularly, it's an individual sport, so you do judo against one other person, but you train with a range of people. So that social aspect of it, but you also learn a lot about yourself. So you have to be quite mindful, of yourself. What's your targets? What do you want to achieve? So your target might just be, I want to come along and I want to get a bit more fitter, or I want to come along and want to learn something new. So you've got to look at it on an individual basis. What do you want to achieve? What are your needs? So your needs might be completely different to Jim's if you keep it in my judo club. So, you might have somebody that wants to go and wants to compete. You might have somebody that just wants to come along for the social aspect. Yeah. And I think the thing that's important is that you provide those options for people. Of all ages. So we like competing. We like, that's what I've done in judo. We've got a lot of kids who like to compete, who want to go out to competitions, but you have to give those options. A lot of people drop out of sport, particularly judo, when they go into high school, because they find different things. And partly because the focus in a lot of sports at that age is performance and competing and results. So we done a little project last year where we spoke to some of our kids, because we're still a young judo club and we're still developing. We're only coming on to 2 or 3 years old. So we spoke to a lot of our kids who were going on to high school. What do you want out of judo? Now that you're grown up and you're going to high school, do you want to compete? Maybe. Would you like to become a judo coach? Do you want to come and help? Oh, that'd be amazing. So that kind of sense of giving something and supporting other people, I think is really, really important. So we've got a big focus on kind of young volunteer stroke coach development program, which that's really positive.
That's fantastic.
And it not only encourages them to keep active themselves, it keeps them involved in the sport for a longer period of time. I think that is one thing that I would like to say that I've probably taken from football in a positive aspect, is that, I go out walking the dog on a Saturday morning and I see, mums and dads, helping support, coach young teams, and I see, younger kids, teenagers helping to coach football. And I think that's one of the things that will be important for us going forward, is that we have younger people coming through as coaches who maybe haven't been a Scottish champion, haven't been to the Europeans or the World Championships or the Olympics. You don't have to be a performance athlete to be able to teach the benefits of judo.
Correct. And what judo, one of the mottos is, we spoke about it, Mark, mutual welfare benefit. Yeah. And that's what you're portraying across today as well. It's everything is a benefit. Welfare, getting people involved, young people, their eyes light up. Do you want to become a coach? Yeah, because I want to put my thoughts across. You can just see it in them, can't you? But it's fantastic, and maximum efficiency with minimum effort. It's two great sayings there, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Fantastic, absolutely fantastic. Well, we're talking a wee bit about the Russians, with their philosophy in the art is as well.
Yeah, I mean the Russians have been now they've obviously it's broke up into regions. You've got Georgians fantastic at judo, some great results in judo world. But in terms of sport in general, if you go back quite a lot of years and look at how Russia came to push forward to win a lot of Olympic medals, I think they come up with I think where out of 1 million people that do a sport, one person might go to the Olympics, and that takes you to look at sport in general. Why do people do sport? So I think the numbers may change, but I think in Scotland, I think out of everybody that takes part in judo in Scotland, I think maybe 2.5% compete. So what is there out there for the other 97.5% of people that take part in judo? Is it just about competitions? Going to Scottish championships, going to British championships. It's not. It's about being involved in judo, being involved in a club, being involved in a community. Attending events that are not just about competitions. There's a lot of people to cater for in sport, and I think participation and being involved in sport is really positive, and it's something that I think we should be looking more, focusing on what do we do for the wide range of people that do sports, take part in activities, rather than concentrating on performance. Performance will come, and if you have that pathway available, then it's fantastic. You're not going to stop somebody going on to compete.
No, not at all.
As long as you've got that pathway, but that shouldn't be your main focus.
What I liked what Paul asked you, if someone like me was to come along at my age, I think that's opened up a cracking question. No just for Paul's age, but for every age. Mm-hmm. For my age, get into 60.
Yeah.
For somebody at 65, somebody at 70, somebody at 30, 20, all the way down. Judo hasn't got an age barrier.
No.
Martial arts hasn't got an age barrier. You're welcome to come along at any time in life and participate. Yeah. But what martial arts does at an early age, it teaches people a good discipline to go forward in life. So maybe people who in life are a certain age, and as you quite clearly stated as well, maybe have lost their way a wee bit and they want to get back on track. It's a great sport. Yeah. It's a great art to come back into, or just to come into at the beginning.
Yeah,
as a beginning.
I mean, obviously, like myself, I had a break from judo, and came back to judo, and I've reaped the benefits of that. both, physically, psychologically, socially, and emotionally. But we've actually had a lot of people who've came to join our adults class over the last kind of year or so, who done judo as kids.
Yeah.
They maybe done it for a couple of years, or they done it when they were a teenager, but enjoyed it, but chose something else. And a lot of these guys have came back, and they remember little bits. So that's been really good to see. That people are can go back to something that they tried, and that's why we say try multi sports. You might pick one, but later on in life, you might decide, remember I really enjoyed that. I'm going to go back to that.
That's right. So now we've got the young ones. They all love their computers. Yep. It seems to be always like fighting games, shooting games, or whatever. But we had Chris Bungard. Sorry, Chris. My apologies, Chris, if you're listening. For a pronunciation of your surname, because you're a really, really nice guy. You come across as a cracking guy. And thanks for he wearing the Jimmy Johnston t-shirt that you're away with as well. Fantastic. So we've got all these MMA fighters and such and whatever. What's your thoughts on that when you watch that, or do you watch it, Mark?
Yeah, I mean, I watch a lot. I watch a lot of sports.
Right.
Judo's not my only interest. It's not the only sport that I'm interested in. But I do watch a little bit of the UFC, all the MMA stuff. It's good. These guys are disciplined as well.
Yeah.
I see, as you say about martial arts, a lot of camaraderie, friendship. I think that's quite a high level. It's quite a bespoke martial art to get involved in, where mixed martial arts and fighting in the ring, and it wouldn't be for me. Judo's very different. We don't kick, we don't punch. It's the gentle way. We call it the gentle way. They're quite popular, the mixed martial arts. There's a lot of funding behind it, a lot of money involved in it. It's professional, it's a career. It is really tough. But judo's just very different. But a lot of the guys that do mixed martial arts and involved in UFC have done judo.
They've got a wee bit in there.
Yeah, they've got an influence of judo, or they've practiced judo at some point. And there's a lot of people in the judo world made the transition into mixed martial arts as well.
Because you see a lot of them going into low sweeps of the feet as well.
Your ashibazas.
Ashibari, as such, which was a favourite move of Bruce Lee's as well. And one that we spoke about was Kataguruma.
Kataguruma, yeah.
Aye, but which is a move when the guy he goes right over the top, which is saying that's banned now.
It's banned in competitive judo now. So when I came back to judo a few years ago, there'd been a lot of rule changes in terms of how you can score by throwing somebody, you can score by holding somebody down, you can score by a submission through an arm lock and a strangle. But there was a lot of techniques that were taken out for safety aspects as well. And Kataguruma was one of them. A lot of the big kind of pick-up sacrifice throws, which were really quite exciting to watch.
Yeah.
There was a guy recently who unfortunately passed away due to mental health issues in judo. Another world champion from England, Craig Fallon. He done a great Kataguruma and some spectacular judo. Using these throws. They're bad now in competitive judo. We can still teach them. You can still practice them in the club. It's not a lost part of the art. It's still practiced. It's still done in. So we also have kata championships in judo as well.
Yeah.
It's not just competitions, and that's where you go through the kata, through the techniques with a partner. And they still do Kataguruma in that because it's in a controlled way. But no, you can't do some of these techniques now in competitive judo.
You watch these guys in the ring and whatever. I think it's really escalated people's viewing as well, Paul. I don't know if you watch it.
No, I don't watch it, Jim. But I'm obviously aware of the popularity in recent times. I mean, see when you're talking about people who come to the top of their game, and I'm always intrigued with anybody who becomes a master at whatever it is they're doing. You obviously trained with Graham back in your youth. Did you see anything in Graham, any qualities that you thought he's going to the very top?
yeah, Graham was very focused. Yeah, very, very focused. He was very committed to what he was doing. But he was very, very talented. You know, he was a rugby player at the time when he took up judo. But yeah, very, very focused. I think people can have a natural talent as well. Graham did have a natural talent, but he also had that drive and that ambition and that focus that he wanted to get to the top. And when I remember sitting in his bedroom just down the road in S Bank and talking about what would we love to achieve in judo, and it was, you know, become world champion would be fantastic. You know, I never got there. And just because you don't get there doesn't mean to say you didn't enjoy trying.
You enjoyed the journey.
Graham got there, and you know, I was, you know, so chuffed for him and so proud to have even been, you know, trained with him and been part of that. So it's, yeah, I think it takes a lot of commitment and a lot of support. You know, you need a lot of support, and you need lots of people to influence that journey as well and support you through that journey. But with that comes a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
You know, not just physically, but, you know, mentally and emotionally, you know, could have a massive impact on your own personal life. Particularly in a sport where you're focused on, you know, your own sole performance. You know, so yeah, you've not got, you know, unlike football, you've not got another 10
Can't
guys.
have a bad day. I know.
You can't have a bad, you know, if you have a bad day, you lose. You can have a bad day in the pitch and team sports.
Somebody
and
digs you
still,
out.
you know, there's still somebody there to kind of back you up. But in an individual sport, that, you know, so that the mental aspect of being prepared in judo to compete is really, really important. You know, you can, yeah, even myself over the last sort of 3 years competing in Masters judo, I've had some great results. I've had some really bad results, and I wouldn't put any of the bad results down to lack of technique, lack of strength, lack of fitness. You know, wouldn't put it down to an injury. When I've not had a good day, I've not been prepared in my mind.
Yeah.
You know, I've not had that positive mindset. I've been feeling a little bit maybe, you know, not quite so confident, you know, in myself. And I think that comes back to, you know, your kind of self-esteem as well.
Yeah.
But there's been other days where I've, you know, tournaments that I went to where I've, you know, my mental well-being's been really, really positive. My state of mind has been great. You know, everything has come together, and I've been dead relaxed, and I've went on and, you know, taken a great result. And the German Masters was a great example. I really, really enjoyed that tournament. But I went out there with a state of mind that I was going out to play judo. You know?
Yeah.
I wasn't thinking about what if I lose. Yeah, what if I don't get a result? What if I don't go home with a medal? I just went out to enjoy it, and that for me now, whenever I compete, that's my state of mind. I'm going out here. I'm going to enjoy my judo.
Love
it. I'm going to enjoy my judo. I'm going out here to play judo with somebody else.
Yeah.
One of us is going to win. One of us is going to lose. But I'm not worried about who it's going to be. I'm going out here to play it. So that's kind of my state of mind when I come to my own personal judo, and that's what I want to try and, you know, drip down to my young coaches. I've got a young coach, Leo, who's been helping coach over the last wee while. He just turned 18 last week, and watching him coach now is fantastic, because that's what he does. He plays judo, and even when he trains himself, you can see him playing judo, and it's it's great to see.
It's a great testament, isn't it, Paul?
See, when I hear that, it takes me back to a discussion I had with Andy Lynch. Now, Andy Lynch played for Celtic in the 1970s, and then his son played for Celtic in the early 2000s. And Andy and Simon both had the same situation that you had there, whereby they knew themselves if they weren't in the right frame of mind going into a game. So you had the confidence of Andy standing up in a packed Hampden and scoring the winning goal in the Scottish Cup final from the penalty spot. Now, Jim, you can tell me and Mark how much pressure must be on you in a Scottish Cup final to take a penalty, you know, at nothing each against Rangers. And Andy knew, because he was tuned in and he was in what he called the zone, he was never going to miss that penalty. Yeah. He says other days, you walk onto the pitch and you knew the minute somebody passed the ball at you, it was going to roll under your feet, right? And the interesting thing that Andy said is that him and Simon had these discussions all the time, because they believed if they could have got into that zone every single week, they would have been far more successful. And the two players that they think did it as an art form, maybe naturally, perhaps. Kenny Dalglish with Andy,
Yeah.
and Henrik Larsson with Simon.
Yeah.
And the similarities between the two, they obviously trained all week, they were prepared, they were physically fit, but they were the two that they pulled out and said they knew how to tune in. They had the state of mind every single week, and that's how their level of performance was so high.
Yep.
And that's what we try to say as well, Paul. It's your state of mind, and heart intelligence, working with your intellectual intelligence is very important. We talk about this, Mark, the other day, didn't we? And if you've got that working together and the two of them are accelerating together, then the frame of mind that you're in is fantastic. You can't beat it. So you can have your warm-up, your physical warm-up, but you've got to have your mental warm-up even before you come to do your physical warm-up, and your heart has got to want to do it. So when the three of them all come together and work at it, he scored the penalty. You've won your fight, or you've won that individual battle, not only with the opponent but with yourself individually. He's won the game, but he's won his individual battle. We've been able to score that goal and psych himself to score it in front of 70, 80,000 people, which means winning a historical trophy. So it's amazing. Your state of mind is very, very important. It's not your ability at the sport, it is your state of mind and everything that comes into it.
Now, as we've been talking, Mark, this is a live broadcast, so it's going out on YouTube, Facebook and Twitter, and it'll be saved on YouTube as an archive video. So we do get people commenting. There's some brilliant comments talking about, the mental health aspects, getting involved in what you do. But I want to bring this up just to close today's discussion, because this is something I know will be appreciated by Jim. Now, Brian Harkin's watching this on YouTube, and he's just made the comment, "Be water, my friend." Now, I don't know exactly what that means. Jim's explained to me that's a Bruce Lee reference. What does that mean to you, be water?
I think it's about being fluid with everything that you do, your approach. I could probably liken it, in terms of a judo aspect. I'm going to link it to something that my papa used to go on to me about judo when I was younger. So being water is a bit like being like if you think about a tree, you've got a big strong oak tree. The winds come, the winds batter the oak tree. The high winds come up, the oak tree breaks. But the willow tree, the high winds come, it's fluid. The wind goes over, it bends, the wind passes over it, and it survives. So I think liking it to the water is if you have a flow, maximum efficiency, minimum effort.
Love it.
So linking it to judo, some of the most enjoyable judo techniques or throws that I've ever done have taken literally no effort. It's been, timing, movement, control. It's not been about, speed, power, strength, muscles. It's about using that, using your head, using your body, using your heart to achieve what you want to achieve.
And sometimes I'm looking at that bottle of water, and the guy knows, when he mentions the word friend at the end, he knows it's like that bottle of water there. The water inside the bottle becomes the bottle, and the bottle becomes the water. So there's a lot more involved in, and the water finds its way through creeks, it finds its way. There's always a way, and then you can become various things. But I like that guy's comment. Well done.
It's excellent. Mark, it's been an absolute pleasure. I want you to tell everybody that's tuning in where to find you. Where can we find you online? Where can we find you physically?
Yep. So we've got a website, Randori Judo. We've got a Facebook page, Randori Judo. We also have our preschool judo, which is called Judosaurus, for 3 to 5 year olds. There's a website for that. You can catch us on Facebook. But obviously our new venture that we've put a lot of effort into recently is Randori Dojo. There is a website for that, and we just went live yesterday with the Facebook page. We're based in Harding Green Business Park, S Bank in Dalkeith in Midlothian, and there's a lot of good transport links near to the dojo. So yeah, drop us a message, drop us a PM, follow the page, and get in contact.
do a double visit, come and see us as well.
Yes, exactly.
Definitely.
Come to the judo and leave with a positive state of mind.
Absolutely, that's what we hope to do. And whenever we can speak about that, we do, Mark, because there's people out there who might be having a hard time. And they might be looking for ways to try and improve the quality of their mental wellness. So it's fantastic. I've been fascinated for 55 minutes. Jim, I know this is your thing.
I love it.
You love it. So all that's left for Jim and I to say is thank you very much for joining us on A State of Mind, Mark.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you.
It's been great.